Welcome back to Fight Buzz, guys. Today we're having a quick look at 168 in Denver. This was an amazing card. We had some amazing storylines. We had some amazing finishes. In fact, I think almost every fight except one on the main card ended in a finish. Two fights didn't end in a finish. Both of them were MMA fights. And of course, for the main event, we had an incredible Muay Thai fight that, we've all been waiting for. So let's dive right into Demetrious Johnson hanging up his gloves. It has been an incredible career for him. And it's pretty hard not to appreciate everything he's done, even though Dana does try to discredit him along the way. Although we saw a little clip of Dana saying he was support him all the way, so maybe now that he's left 1FC, he'll be inducted into the Hall of Fame finally.
Who's defended Demetrious Johnson more than me? No, good for him. Incredible career he had, and I've never had a problem with Demetrious Johnson.
I think he might grapple and that sort of stuff, but no more MMA. Do we see him in the UFC Hall of Fame at some point?
Absolutely.
I honestly think DJ might be one of the greatest fighters of all time, if not the greatest. I think a lot of people at the moment are really on that Jon Jones is the greatest fighter of all time hype, and call me a hater, but I don't like that Jon Jones is even in the conversation for being the GOAT. Jon Jones got popped for steroids, and as far as I'm concerned, and as far as most other sports are concerned, you get popped for steroids, any win that took place before that date doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything at all. And I think it should be the same for MMA, because it's horse shit that you now get only one fight scratch when you were most likely doing it. And the biggest thing is everyone now is going, oh, well, what he was caught for then would be considered fine now. He was hiding under an octagon to get away from being tested. He was clearly cheating. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Jon Jones, and even though I think GSP is the greatest of all time, we're not here to talk about him either. We're here to talk about DJ. And just before we leave that topic, actually, I don't know what Jon Jones has on Dana, but what is going on there? Dana is just working it. He's just working it for Jones, huh? But anyway, I would like to make my case tonight for Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson, a legendary fighter. Second on my GOAT mountain, only to George St. Pierre. I believe DJ's technical prowess still to this day is unmatched. Even if you don't think he's the greatest of all time, I think it's pretty hard to argue that he's not the most technical fighter of all time in all aspects of MMA, which I suppose would make him the most well-rounded fighter in all time, because he was outstriking strikers, out-wrestling wrestlers. His clinch work was incredible. His fight IQ, absolutely insane. With 11 consecutive title defenses in the UFC, which, by the way, is still the current record. And like I mentioned before, some of those finishes, absolutely insane. The suplex into the armbar, what the hell was that? And then him talking about it, going, yeah, I do that all the time in training. Like Jesus Christ, his training partners must go through it, you know what I mean? And I'm jealous. But an incredible career in the UFC, and incredible careers outside of the UFC. He is a great role model. He's a lot of fun. He's a bit of a gaming nerd. So a big thank you to him for giving up his body and a lot of his time away from his family and stuff during his career. I'm sad we're not going to be able to see him compete again, but boy, what an awesome career. What an awesome guy. So yeah, it was a wholesome evening to watch him retire, and it was a little bit funny, the belt being the same size as him. Anyway, I can't chat shit. He'll kick my ass. So off onto the main event of the evening, we had Haggerty versus Superlek. Like I said before, an anticipated fight. I couldn't wait. I was hoping for a 5-round war. I didn't have a particular pick on who I wanted to win, but I was hoping for a 5-round war. We got 1, maybe 2 minutes of fighting. Superlek hit him with just the elbow from hell. Interestingly, we saw he got the timing and everything perfect on the second attempt. He tried it earlier in the fight, I was going to say, but 10 seconds beforehand. He didn't quite get the timing on, but he connected the second time. Haggerty came out looking fast, looking quite aggressive, and in hindsight, a little bit too aggressive. He ran right into it through a heavy and maybe a little bit overcommitted 1-2, which of course landed him on Superlek's elbow. But he was looking pretty slick. He was looking sharp, but Superlek knew he was coming in. It is the weakness of those fighters that like to explode into their exchanges. You run into stuff, right? And Superlek's fight IQ is just too high to do shit like that, or to just go too far. It's a high risk, high reward. Unfortunately, it was just all risk for Haggerty that night. I would love to see another rematch between these two, make it a third fight, but unfortunately, I think that maybe now Haggerty just has to go back and sort of fight his climb his way up. I have no doubt he can get there, but he has been getting a little bit more loose recently. I think he just needs to tighten it up again. But I love both those fighters, man. They're so incredible. They always put on a show. Back onto one of the interesting storylines of this event was Mikey Musumeci missing weight. Everyone is ragging on ONE FC about this. And I just don't agree completely. I think it's hard to say. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in that room when they discussed that, because if I'm looking from both parties here, right? Mikey comes in, he's had a hard camp, wants to put on a show, wants to fight, goes, yep, I'll take on the challenger. That's like scenario one. ONE FC could have been like, Mike, we need you to fight. We want you to fight this guy. ONE FC, you need to make weight, bully him into it a little bit. What I suspect happened was a little bit of a mix of the both. He wanted to fight, ONE FC wanted to fight. Mikey wants to put on a show for the fans. Us, super grateful, incredible BJJ fighter. Sad that we can't see him fight Cater Rotolo, yes, but he should never have agreed to fight on a week's notice, essentially on such a massive weight cut. Like that was, I think the first fight was supposed to be at 170, I could be wrong, but like to cut from there all the way down to his actual weight class is just ridiculous in 1 week. Even if he'd made weight, there's just no way he would have made hydration. It just was not, this was just never in the books. And so I think ONE FC is stupid for allowing it, but Mikey also like, come on man, like you should have known this was not on the table. Both parties, either one of the parties should have said no. Arguably both should have said no. So even though I think probably both sides are equally at fault here, man, ONE FC, you didn't need to strip him like that. Like you could have made an exception here. He was trying to do something good for you and for the fans, which ultimately, again, is good for you. So I'm a little disappointed that he had to get stripped. I just didn't think it was necessary, you know. I think the fight probably should have just been made at a catch weight off the bat. You could have still made it a title fight at a catch weight, right? Because you know Mikey can make weight. You know the other guy can make weight. That's not the issue, right? But given the circumstances, you could have just given a little bit of room to move here. So yeah, while I think it's fair to sort of flame ONE FC a little bit for that, I think Mikey does just bear a little bit of responsibility here. And that's probably why he hasn't lashed out at ONE FC. It's probably like a hindsight thing. He was so hungry to fight, and he looks back and goes, shit, that was never going to happen, you know? So it is what it is. So yeah. So summary of the card, an incredible card. We had all the Muay Thai fights, I think, in the main card were finishes. MMA fights were great. One of the things that I really love that ONE FC does is the multi-style events. And for the people out there that go, I don't love it when they're just like hugging and grappling on the ground. That's fair. I don't agree with you, but that's fair. You're entitled to that opinion. Casual. But if that's what you're looking for, a lot of people will go watch kickboxing there, but it's not the same, because what you're looking for is you're looking for striking that is the same as MMA striking, which is different than when you're fighting with 12, 16-ounce gloves that are basically pillows on your hands, right? You cover up with this, suddenly you can't get hit anymore, you know? The 4-ounce gloves change the game completely. And being able to watch strikers that completely outclass any of the UFC fighters or other ONE FC fighters because they specialize in striking, watching them fight in the 4-ounce gloves is fucking awesome. That shit is so cool. They beat the shit out of each other almost always. I'm not gonna say always. It often leads in really incredible finishes. We see crazy cool stylistic matchups. We get to see the more Taekwondo, the more karate, the more Muay Thai based fighters come in and all utilize effectively their styles against one another. I love it. I think it's awesome. I think even the BJJ fights and stuff, ONE FC is onto something there, man. And I'm like I said, I'm all here for it. Which actually reminds me of the Mighty Mouse fight versus Rod Tang. Again, a really cool fight. You saw the dynamic round one. Rod Tang comes out aggressive, strong. Mighty Mouse, he was landing some shots. He was doing pretty good considering, you know. I also think the matchup was good for Mighty Mouse. You know, Rod Tang's one that really does push in, so he is open to hits. It probably looks. Say he was having to fight someone like Superlek or Haggerty, probably would have looked a little worse. So I think the stylistic matchup on the feet was probably good. But you saw the aura shift in round two when suddenly the wrestling threat was there. And I feel like Rod Tang in training was feeling okay, but the second Mighty Mouse started walking forwards at him, he realized like the second he does anything, he's just going down. And that's exactly what happened. So it's a nice wee flashback. Well, that's it for today's breakdown, guys. Let me know what you thought of the finish with Haggerty. Is he finished, or will he get a rematch later on in the future? And can he win? What did you think about Mikey Musumeci being stripped? And of course, last but not least, Demetrious Johnson retiring. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. To all my 27 followers, thank you very much. Have a lovely night.